Hello there, my name's Yako and I'm one of our developers here at PostHog. For those who don't know, PostHog is an open source, developer-friendly product analytics platform that you can use to track your websites and your apps. Today, I'll be taking you around for a quick spin of some of our main features. And we're going to start over here with events. Events power everything at PostHog, and this events list here gets updated as events come in. The reason for this is that PostHog auto-captures relevant events, which means that while you're going through setup or make changes to your app, you don't have to worry about missing out on events that are relevant to you. However, this list can get a little bit overwhelming as lots of events can come in. For this reason, we've created the concept of actions, and the best way for me to show you these is through our toolbar, which I'm going to open right now. So now this is our actual posthog.com website. And you can see that there's a little floating hedgehog over here on the right. I'm going to toggle off actions for now. This little hedgehog will only appear for you, not your users. In other words, it will just appear for people who are authenticated to the PostHog instance for the website. Here, there's a few things you can do, and one of them is create actions. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to inspect an element, so I'm going to click GitHub, create an action, click GitHub on navbar. I'm going to go ahead and create that action. Cool. So that action is now created. What that means is I can sort through these events that PostHog automatically captures, and I can also pair up events together if I care that a user only did a certain action rather than how they did it. For example, if I have a sign up button at the top of my page and at the bottom of my page, I might want to create an action which says, if the user clicked sign up here or here, then trigger an action clicked sign up, because I don't care which button they clicked, just that they clicked one of them. So that's how actions operate. They can pair multiple elements with an or operand, i.e. that means one event or another event will trigger that action. Now, let's take a quick look at what else this little hedgehog can do before we flip back and take a look at actions. So we also have this little heat map over here, which is going to show in a very visual way where your users are clicking on your website. In this case, the hedgehog, or the heat map, excuse me, is set to track clicks from the last 7 days. So you can see here that our pricing page is the one that's most clicked with 173 clicks in the last 7 days. And it's the number one clicked on this page. You also can see these little numbers here are the numbers of clicks, and you can go around all over the page and see visually where your users are clicking, which is very powerful and has helped us ourselves make our homepage better. All right, so let's go over back to actions. Now I'm back here in actions, and let's find that action that we just created. I'm just going to search for GitHub here. There we go. Click GitHub on navbar. So I'm going to click that. So this is going to show me the action. This includes the selector for the elements included. In this case, we only have one element, and I can change this action as I like. What I can also do is I can see all the events that have triggered that action. I'm not going to look further here because there might be some sensitive data. However, once you've created this action, there's a lot that you can do. So let's go over to Insights and see what we can do with that. The first thing that's going to appear here is a chart of the page view events that we've had in PostHog, as you can see here. I can change the time frame for that, so I can see just yesterday. I can also change that to be the last 2 weeks, for example. So I can change that time range as I like. What I can also do is change the type of chart. So from linear, I can go over to cumulative, which is always going to go up and to the right, which is a nice thing to see. So what we can also do is we can display that in a table, or we can display that in a pie chart, which make more sense when we use filters and breakdown. So let's go back to linear over here. Now I'm going to change from page view, and I'm going to try and find that action. So click GitHub on navbar. It's right here. So now, based on that action, I can see the chart for that specific action. I can add filters here. So let's say click GitHub on navbar, and let's say that, well, the current URL was posthog.com. So that's what we're going to do. In this case, this isn't going to change too much. but that's what we have right here. So let's get rid of that. So now let's try something like breakdown by browser. So let's see the people that click that based on the browser that they use. So here I have it. I have Chrome, and then I have Firefox, and then I have other alternatives here. But a linear chart isn't really the way to see that. So maybe the best way is to go over to a pie. So now I can see this in a pie chart format. I can also change this to a table if I so wish. And these can all be added to dashboards, which we're going to go over later. I can also add filters here. So I can filter by cohort, which we're going to go through later. And I can also filter by a specific property. This property here can be one of many things. The first one is properties that PostHog will capture by default. You can see that with the little hedgehog here. So OS, browser, current URL, etc. There's also properties that you set yourself using our API or one of the integrations. So you can see here PostHog version has Slack webhook. These are properties that you have set yourself. There's also other properties that we grab by default, like UTM tags. So if you have UTM tags on your links, PostHog will grab that by default so that you can easily manage your ad campaigns if you're working on the marketing side of things. The final thing to show here is stickiness. So let's go back to linear. And now let's show this as stickiness. So what stickiness shows is how much users are performing an action consistently. So they performed an action on day 0, do they come back and perform that same action on day 1? In this case, clicking GitHub on navbar, they don't. At least for us, that seems to be the case. The stickiness on this action is actually quite low because once they click it once, they don't seem to be clicking that again. And you can stipulate the kinds of reasons for that. Another cool thing that we have here is history. So if you have created a chart that brought you some nice insights for a chart you really liked, but you forgot to add that to a dashboard, then you can always go back through your history and bring back the charts that you had before. So let me click this, for example, and this is the table that I had just a few moments earlier. So I can always bring back, so I can be sure that I'm not losing any of my work. And finally, I can also sort things by a few different metrics here. So for numeric values, I can have a sum, I can have an average, a minimum, and a maximum. And I can also sort, instead of total volume, I can sort, for example, let's go back to page views, and I can sort that by active users, because that's actually what I care about. So let me pick up page view, and I'm going to sort that by active users, and that should naturally be a different value. So that's what you can do here with trends. From trends, let's now move over to sessions. Sessions will show you how long your users are spending on your website. This is not as relevant for certain types of products, but it's very relevant for example, content platforms, because you really want to know how much time users are spending on that content, be it a video or be it an article. So this can also be filtered by all the same properties and cohorts as we had in trends. We'll talk about cohorts later. Let's go over to funnels now. So I have a funnel here that I had prepared beforehand. And actually, it's a better way to find it through the dashboard. So here's my funnel that I've created. So this is from people that had a page view event, how many of them clicked our star repo button on the navbar. This is actually filtering by the PostHog team, so I can actually show you that. Here you can see the PostHog team. And one differential that PostHog has over the alternatives is that we actually show you each user going through that funnel. So you can see here that Tim had a page view and then clicked star repo. But we have 2 people here that did not have that flow done. So funnels are very powerful, and you can again filter them by all kinds of properties that you set. The way funnels are created are by using actions or events. And they're useful when you have certain actions that you need your users to perform in sequence. And what you want to find out is how they're doing those actions, where they're dropping off, and what percentage of users are going from one step to the next. So with funnels, an example could be clicked sign up button, added contact information, and then paid for the product. So this is an example of a funnel that would be quite useful for figuring out where your users are dropping off and what steps you need to improve to actually improve your conversion. However, your users might not be doing what you've set out for them in that funnel. In that case, you might want to find out where they're going. For this, we have user paths, which I already have open over here. User paths show you where your users are going from one step to the other. Unlike funnels, they're not set beforehand. So we'll be picking up everything that your users are doing, irrespective of you setting out what they should be doing or not. So here, for example, I've set the start point to posthog.com, which is our website. Once users land on posthog.com, I can then see where they're going. Well, some of them are going over to login page on app.posthog.com. Some of them are going to the sign up page. So this is quite useful when paired with funnels so that you can realize what your users are doing instead of the steps of the funnel, or as a reference point for creating some useful funnels for yourself. Then over here in Insights, we also have this retention table. Retention is a very important metric for a wide variety of websites and apps, such as content platforms, where you really need your user to be coming back day after day, not just visit your app once and then leave. Retention can be filtered by property and cohort, like all of our other insights. And you can see here day by day how your retention changes. If you don't care about the dates, you might also want to consider using trend stickiness, which you can find over here in trends. Now, let's take a look at your users. So if I go over here to the All Users tab under People, I can see my users over here. And for each user that I click, let's say Deborah Fernandez, I can see the properties that I have set using either our API or our integrations and libraries, the properties that I have set for this specific user. So for Deborah, I have set her first name, her last name, her phone number, her email, and her address. I've also designated here that this is a person from our demo. So I can see this quite easily here. And if I click on Deborah, I can also see all the events that she has done. I'm also able to delete all the data on her with one click, and I can also do that on the previous page if the user requests you to do so. So that is quite powerful. I can set properties, but not only that, I can sort my users by those properties. So let's go ahead and say has email. So this should only show me users that have the property email set. And so I can see here that everybody has an email. What I can then do is I can create a new cohort. And I can say let's say users with emails, right? Let's say user has property email is set. So the person has an email. So I'm going to save that cohort. And now I can go over to cohorts and I can see users with emails. There are 34 users here, and these are these users. What cohorts allow you to do is group users together by something that they have in common. That thing could be where they came from. In other words, the website or the campaign that referred them to your website. It could be a certain property that they have set regarding their behavior, or in this case, for example, that they have emails so that I can more easily identify them or send them an email. So cohorts allow me to group these users together, and then I can use that as a filter when I go over to Insights or when I create my dashboards. So let's actually take a look at that. If I go over here to Insights, this is going to open up the page views. Let's try the page views for the last 90 days. You see that there's a spike here because this is just demo data. And now let's say I want to add a filter by cohort. So let's see users with emails. How do they perform? So I can see specifically how that cohort performs, which is quite useful. Let's now go over dashboards in a bit more depth. The idea with dashboards is that when you go over to Insights and you create a chart that you like and you want to save and you want to see that very easily when you log into PostHog, you can create a dashboard for it. And these dashboards can all be found here, but you can also pin them here to the side. So in this demo dashboard, I have a few different things. I have a chart, a line chart with all of our page views. I have a pie chart showing users who click pricing, and this is being broken down by browser. So I can see users from Chrome that clicked on pricing. I can see users from Firefox that clicked on pricing. And I also have the funnel that we looked at earlier from page view to starting the repo. Once more, I can change the color on all of these dashboards to whatever I prefer. I can resize them as I like so that they fit nicely on the page. I'm also able to put this page on full screen if I so wish, and I'm also able to share this dashboard if I want to create a public link for people to see. So if you want to share some public data about how your app or website is performing, you can get this link and you are able to share that specific dashboard with the world or with some teammates or with some people within your company from another team. We're going to go through our feature flags. Feature flags are a cool piece of functionality that we offer that can be found here on the sidebar under experiments. What they are toggles that you can turn on and off for rolling out and rolling back features for your users. This rolling out process can be done by different filtering mechanisms, which we're going to show you now. So if I go over here to create a new feature flag, let's say feature that might, well, break the website. I have it right here. So if there's a certain feature that you are unsure about, either from a UX perspective or because it might cause some additional server load or it might break the website, you might not want to roll that out to all your users. So what you can do is you can decide to roll out a feature based on certain properties or to a percentage of your users. So let's say, well, this feature that might break the website, I only want to test this out with 5% of the users. So that's what I'm going to do right here. This is automatically going to generate for me a snippet, which is an example implementation that I can use on my website to actually toggle on and off that feature for specific users. So if I add this snippet, then users that have this feature enabled will see one thing, and users that have the feature off will see something else. It's worth noting that this persists across users, so your users will always have the same experience. This will not change from one visit of your website to another. Besides rolling out to a percentage of users, you can also filter by user properties. You're also able to do both if you like. So I could keep this on and filter by properties. So let's say email contains posthog.com. Let's say that. So if I create that, now 30% of the users that have a posthog.com email are going to be able to see this specific feature. And this is very powerful because you can then do analysis and see how your app performs based on different features. You might have changed the text on a button, or you might have a feature flag for something much greater. And you can see how these perform and how they affect your retention or your conversion rate on funnels, for example. While we provide the snippet here, you're also able to use these feature flags with our API and our integrations so that you can also toggle on and off features on your backend. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what feature flags can do in a very simple way using our own website. So here is the posthog.com website, and I have a little feature flag set up ready. I have this feature flag called test with the key test rather, and that's on for all users. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this little functionality here that if the person or that user has the test feature enabled, this request demo button is going to change to schedule demo. There we go. So if you add this type of logic to different areas of your code base, you're able to do very powerful experimentation with your UX and your features. And if you don't like what's happened with the change, then you can always come back here and immediately turn it off. So if something causes something important to break, you can turn it off with no consequences.